All right, today we're gonna do a video on this SportsPower My First Trampoline. It's a 7-foot diameter trampoline we got from Walmart. It's a pretty good sized box. It's the size of my hand. It's heavy, but got it, free shipping delivered. So gonna unbox it and see what all we got inside, and hopefully get it together pretty quick and easy. All right, so I got everything out of the box. Here's everything that was in there. Got split into two piles. First pile, as you can see, is the trampoline stuff, and the second one is the trampoline enclosure. And I went through and everything for the trampoline is here. So got everything I need there, and same thing for the enclosure. All the parts I need for the enclosure are all here. So step one, we've got everything we need. So let's see if we need any extra tools if we can get started. All right, so it looks like all the tools we need come in the kit right there, but it does say that you will need 2 people to assemble. I'll see if I can do this by myself or not. Might have to get the wife involved. Also says to make sure you got gloves and goggles. I think probably has to do when you start working with the springs. So I'll make sure I get some safety glasses or some goggles when I get to the spring step. But with that, let's get started on step number 1. Okay, so those went together pretty quick. As you can see, I think the easiest thing is to screw the little black cap on the bottom to the metal first, and then run it through, and it goes together pretty quick. So let's move on to step 2. All right, so step 2 is basically just laying everything out for step 3. These green parts are going to be the bottom legs, and then this metal part. See that bar right here, and these pieces are going to go together, attach to the top of the legs with these bolts here. So I went ahead and made these up for each of the 6 corners, and so as you can see, it just makes a big circle with all the metal tubing, and attaches to the green legs, and then coming out the top of this, it's going to be this vertical piece with the foam on it. So got everything laid out, got the bolts all set up how they're supposed to go, and I guess I'll show how I do one kind of close up, and then I'll zoom out and you can see how I do the rest of it. Okay, so I ran into my first problem. So I just did this leg perfectly fine, but on this leg here, I'm gonna pull this metal piece through the bottom here, comes out through this hole. It's supposed to go through that hole also, and so that metal bar has to fit through both of those holes, and this square on the top piece has to fit in the square on the bottom piece. But I don't know be able to see this or not, but the circles are not lined up. I don't think, well, there we go. Circles aren't lined up down there, so I'm gonna have to trim this circle out a little bit right here. You can see here it's not, the circle isn't centered. Should be further that way and that way. I'm gonna have to cut a little bit off the circle here so that these squares can line up and the metal pole can go through both of the holes. So I'm just gonna trim a little bit of this and see if I can make it work. All right, that worked. So before this wasn't able to sit flush all the way down. So I wallowed it out with that pocket knife, and now it sits flush. So now we can move on to, you know, putting the bolt in here and attaching the metal brackets and stuff. So we'll do that next. This part goes on first. This straight part with the blue, the instructions say to make sure that this hole right here points towards the outside. Drop that in. Make sure the holes line up. And you just get your fastener for these. And start with the Phillips head on the outside with a washer. Make sure it comes through all the holes. And then you start on the inside with a washer. This little lock nut, or locking washer, I mean. And then the cap head nut. Make sure that goes on, and then we can tighten that up. So now that this is done, I'm going to go ahead and do this on the remaining 4. All right, so I've got that step done. I did all 3 of the legs basically. I did the last one off camera, and I realized I did that one off camera too. Sorry about that. But now next step is step 4. Basically, we're going to attach these horizontal metal bars that are all the way around these, and yeah, start making it look like a complete circle. So this is a part where it says you need 2 people. I'm not really sure why. I'm gonna try to do it by myself, and we'll see if I can get away with it. All right, managed to get that all together by myself. Really wasn't that hard. So yeah, as you can see, I did the bars, you know, directly above the green legs first on all 3 pieces, and then I connected those together. One thing I realized that wasn't specifically stated in the directions is these corner pieces only have holes on one side. So in this case, they're on the top, not the bottom. I think they only go in this way because I don't know if you could tell in the video or not, but every now and then I try to put one in and it wouldn't sit flat and had to turn upside down, and then it sat flat. So I think it forces you to have these holes in the top. But on these bars, there's nothing in the directions that tell you to have the holes in the top. I think this is where the springs hook into for the trampoline. So I'm pretty sure these holes are supposed to be on the top, so make sure you do that. As you can see, I did that 5 out of 6 times, but didn't do it here. So I need to take this apart, flip it over, and make sure that these holes are facing upwards, because I'm pretty sure that's where the springs are going to clip into later on. But again, it's not stated in the directions, so keep an eye out for that. So that was more annoying than expected to flip that upside down, or right side up. You can see I had to separate that leg from both the left and right sides so I could twist that, so I could pop that out and flip it. So yeah, long story short, make sure you do it the right way the first time. But anyways, we're done with that step. Now we can go to step 5, which I guess is just loosely putting the trampoline mat over the 6 legs. So there's a trampoline mat over there. We'll get that on the legs. Before I put the mat on, I need to make sure I go back and tighten all the right here in the corner. I never tighten those, so I need to do that before I put the trampoline pad on. So I'll do that real quick. All right, so here comes the sketchy part. This is installing the springs onto the bars. So, or I'll say the springs from trampoline onto the bars. So, you see there's metal hooks down here. So I think a spring hooks onto there, and then you pull it and clamp it onto there. Looks like there's a tool that came with this to help do that. So I'm gonna go get some safety glasses because springs are very scary to me. Springs, bungee cords, things like that store a lot of energy. Yeah, always make sure you got eye protection. I know a guy that lost an eye with a bungee cord that got loose and flung around and hit him in the eye. So make sure you got eye protection if you're messing with springs or bungee cords. All right, found a pair of goggles, so I'm actually going to use these just to be extra safe. And yeah, I'm going to show the first few springs on this side here to see how I do it. It does come with this spring tool, so you hook it on the trampoline part first and use the spring tool to help pull it onto the metal pole. So let's see how that works. Here's a box of springs. I guess I'll start with 1, 2, 3, 4 here. Okay, looks like there's two sides of it. The one that has a stronger curve goes around here on the trampoline. And the one with a less of a curve goes in the hole. So again, you got more of a curve on this side, less of a curve here. See, it closes in more. Where it closes in more goes on the actual trampoline. Okay. I guess these first ones are easy. Maybe once you work your way around, it gets harder. You need to use that tool. But yeah, it doesn't seem very dangerous right now. But as you work your way around, I'm sure start building tension, it will get more dangerous. All right, so that's that side. So I'll go on time lapse and go around and do all those all the way around. Okay, I'm doing this in non time lapse because that last one I did on this side was extremely hard to do. Like took like 90%, 95% of the force I have. So once you go across from the springs, it gets really hard. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so dangerous. Okay. It's really hard to do. I'm trying to get a better angle so you can appreciate how hard that is. All right, I'm gonna do another one so you can see how sketchy this is. Okay, that one wasn't as hard, so maybe it's just the initial one directly across. I don't know, maybe this one's really hard to do. Oh yeah. Oh. Oh. That's not even in there all the way. Okay, so this is not easy to do, just heads up. If you find it difficult, you might need a second set of hands to do that. Okay, so that's why. I didn't read the directions, of course. So it tells you you're supposed to do it in a specific order, the springs. You start with spring number 1, then it says after 1 and 36, go to 18 and 19. So you kind of work your way around in like a crisscross pattern. And I think that helps with having to use so much force. So I think by doing all that one row first, I think screwed me up. So I'm gonna go detach some of those I did at first and just leave the corner ones and start with the corners and then work my way back around. Even after following the directions, this is still really hard. So just be really careful when you do this. Oh man, I don't know if I can do this. not strong enough. Yo, I'm out of breath. That was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do with the DIY thing. I'm shocked at how hard that was. But I got all the corners done. I got 2 on each corner done. So again, all I can say is make sure you follow directions from step 1, and hopefully it's not that hard. Okay, let's put the rest of the springs on. I legit can't believe how hard that was. I'm drenched in sweat. The other thing the instructions say is whenever you put the springs in, the pulling handle, you can use the handle like a hammer. Beat on it to make sure that they're in all the way. So I think most of mine are in, but I'm gonna go around and make sure they're all sitting where they need to be sitting, because there's a lot of force built up in those springs. So it's my first time ever doing that. I'm shocked at how hard that was to do. So don't be discouraged if it's very difficult. Okay, if you read ahead, it shows that you're supposed to continue to alternate. So it actually tells you which ones to do. So again, you kind of keep doing like a crisscross pattern, and yeah, in the end, it should be all done. So it tells you exactly how to do it. I highly recommend you follow the instructions and do it in a crisscross pattern like they say. Okay, now looks like we just gotta tie these loops to secure the padding down to the bottom frame. So that's it for the trampoline. Basically, the rest is just doing the netting. So I'm basically just gonna run all the foam covered tubes through the top netting, and then you screw it all together, the little self-tapping screws that it comes with, and then tie it down. So probably just do one long time lapse to show finishing this off. Okay, so screwing these 2 bars went together okay. The holes lined up, screw went in, but over here, this would be hard to see at this point, but the holes don't line up, so I'm not really sure how I'm gonna get it to work, but just heads up, the holes might not line up. I have to force it in, so. So 2 of the holes didn't line up. Ended up having to use my little battery powered impact driver to get 2 of the screws to go in. But the rest of them went in by hand. So we've got 6 more to go. Let's see how they go. This has been one of the most annoying things I've ever put together in my life. So you can see I'm fighting most of these. This is the last one. Just trying to get these 2 tubes to line up. So just keep kind of wiggling them around like that, going around in circles until they drop into place. If you do that, just be really careful that you don't grab on in between these 2 spots, because when it comes down together, it'll pinch you really bad. So anyways, also, busted out the power drill impact just because I was sick of dealing with a screwdriver. So anyways, just an update. I'm gonna fight this one some more, see if I can get it in. I think there's like a lip on this thing, so I'm sanding it, trying to See if that'll help it go in. 120 grit paper. Shouldn't have to do this, but I can't get it to go in, so. It didn't really help. Try something else. So I rolled up the sandpaper and I'm going inside of here because I think on these holes in the top part there's burrs. It's getting caught up. So I've been doing this for like 5 minutes. I think I'm getting close. There it goes. So it's really sad, but I had to sand the inside of the top pole and the outside of the bottom pole. There's a hole back here, right there, where there was also a lip inside of there. And so I had to sand inside of this top tube to get rid of that lip. So anyways, now it's lined up. Okay, now we just have to finish bringing the canopy down over it. It says, you know, make sure that it goes on the outside of the poles, not the inside. So I was able to flip it inside out basically and make sure it goes on the outside. So now I'm just gonna bring it down and tie those straps down. Okay, so there it is. Mixed reviews because it was kind of a pain to put together. The springs were really hard. I had to use my pocket knife to clean out that green plastic hole. I had to use the sandpaper and my drill to get the metal tubes to line up. But Son's jumping on it. He likes it a lot, so it's definitely worth it in the end. But you know, you may not, if you buy this and put it together, it may not be as easy as it may seem in the instructions. You might have to do a little custom trimming. So overall, glad we got it. Might be hard for some people to put this together, but we were able to do it. And if you bought this and you're trying to put it together, hopefully this is helpful. Just make sure you follow the directions, especially when it comes to the springs. Thanks for watching.